Chuck Todd does an investigation. It was a deep investigation. And here was his main criticisms of you, Dennis. You're far right, and you might not be an accredited teacher, and you see the world as good versus evil. Did you find those charges to be, did it make you
rethink
everything?
Well, the far right, okay, well, I'll take each one of them.
Sure, please.
Yeah, so the far right, people on the left use that for anyone they differ with and against whom they have no arguments.
Yes.
So it's just, so I would be very curious to ask him, okay, Dennis Prager is far right. Can you name 3 positions that reflect his far-rightedness?
Yes.
I'm very serious.
Yes.
I would be curious to know what they are. I have said over and over, I grew up a New York Jewish Democrat liberal. I voted for Jimmy Carter in his first term. I was a Democrat till then. And with one exception, every value that I had when I was a Democrat and thought I was a liberal, I have now as far right.
Yes.
So either I've moved or liberalism or leftism has moved. I'd like to know. So I believe that an all-black dormitory is Ku Klux Klan territory. But he believes, if he's on the left, that if blacks want their own dormitory, that's fine. But when whites wanted their own dormitory, we didn't think it was fine. So I'd like to know what renders me far right. By the way, the one area is big government.
Yeah.
That's where Ronald Reagan made me a Republican with one line. That government is not the solution, it's the problem.
Right.
And when you look at all the genocides of the 20th century, you realize how much evil has come, pure, undiluted evil from big government. They never have an answer, and the reason they don't have an answer to that is they've never heard the charge. To them, big government is synonymous with good. All right, number 2, so what was the other one?
The next one is you're not an accredited teacher.
Not an accredited, okay. We actually have a PragerU shirt which says PragerU, not an accredited university. Why do they think that's a charge? As I said to them, of course they didn't play it, was Aristotle accredited? Was Plato accredited? Was Aquinas? Was Maimonides? And I'm not saying we're Maimonides and Aquinas.
They cut that part out, by the way, of the edited clip.
Of course they didn't have it in. Yeah. What?
It's too devastating of a retort.
No, of course. What is it? So yes, we're not. It's on the front page of every PragerU thing. We're not accredited. Therefore, what? The government has not certified us. The third one is the most important. Yes, I see the world in terms of good and evil, which is a very odd statement for him to make. They don't. I don't understand. When they take sides, did they think apartheid was evil? I mean, what kind of nonsense charge? And by the way, the motto of my life is taken from Viktor Frankl, A Man's Search for Meaning, the book that most influenced me after the Bible. He was a Jew, Austrian Jewish psychoanalyst, went through the Holocaust. His wife, whom he adored, was murdered by the Nazis. He was asked after it's in his book, so Dr. Frankl, do you hate the German race? That's how they put it. And he said, no, there are only 2 races, the decent and the indecent. That is the motto of my life.
It is essential reading. If anyone in this audience has not read that book, and it's not a long book.
So no, you can read it in an evening.
It absolutely must read. You know, I think about this because you're before PragerU and currently a talk show host, and you've influenced me so much as a talk show host. I was educated, I went to some of the best schools in the world. I went to the #2 high school in the country. I went to UC Berkeley. I got as much of an education from talk radio. And then I was on the air for a long time, and I just left my show this year. And the 2 compliments I got the most, that meant the most to me, was 1, I had kids because of you, and #2, you were my teacher. Talk radio is a classroom. And Is Chuck Todd ignorant of that? Is NBC News ignorant?
Yes.
That millions and
Talk
millions
show
of people.
host to them is a boob,
Yeah.
a simpleton.
Yeah.
That is correct. They judge without knowing. That you'll really love this, apropos of what you're saying. So I spoke at Columbia University a couple of weeks ago. So the Columbia University newspaper, needless to say, was not a fan of me. So they sent a reporter. The first sentence in the article, remember this was not an opinion piece, theoretically. Dennis Prager, a Columbia University School of International Affairs dropout, and then they continued. Now, I'm just curious. I've heard of high school dropouts.
Yeah.
Very rarely college dropouts.
Right.
Never graduate school dropouts. Right. By the way, just for the record, I dropped out after 2 years. I gave my master's thesis orally under Zbigniew Brzezinski, the National Security Advisor to Carter, later on. But anyway, I gave it, and then I didn't write it. Instead, I wrote a book, An Introduction to Judaism, which remains, 50 years later, the most widely read introduction to Judaism in the English language. So I dropped out before getting my degree to write that book, which I think is more valuable than another thesis.
And I had the same thought about your Bible commentaries, the best-selling Bible commentaries in the world currently, and clearly it's educational text. I've read 1.5 of them so far. I intend to read them all, and it's an educational endeavor.
Yes.
So what accreditation do you need? How about, well, I wrote the most popular Bible commentaries.
They don't know that.
Yes.
It would shock
It was
him.
not mentioned. It was not mentioned.
Never. Only talk show host, which they think is an insult.
Yes.
My wife, whom I consider brilliant, and I don't say it because she's my wife. Anyone who knows her knows what I'm saying is true. And she's a lawyer, and she will tell you she has learned more from talk radio than she did getting her law degree. Not about law, but I'm just saying
about life.
General, yes.
Yes, and which is your show's all about
facts,
life. Right.
And even facts.
Sure. Well, speaking of facts, they don't raise in the NBC piece, Meet the Press, they don't raise one specific falsehood in the PragerU material. They suggest you lack nuance in the slavery video, which I think is a Candace Owens video. And that's it. That's the only specific.
Well, so that is important that you raise that. You would think all we put out are videos on race. 99% of our output has nothing to do with race.
Yeah.
They chose, because they're obsessed with race.
That's right.
Because they're racist. They are obsessed. We're not. We have Columbus. They always pick on this. Columbus says, well, you know, there's slavery all over the world, as if we're justifying slavery.
Yeah.
We were honest. That is what Columbus would have said in 1490. That's what people believed. He didn't think it was wrong. If we had put words in Columbus's mouth, oh, that is so evil, slavery, they would have said, look, they're whitewashing Columbus. So we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. If we have him say what he would have said, that he has some sympathy with slavery, then we're pro-slavery. If we show him saying, oh, I hate slavery, we're lying about Columbus to whitewash him.
It seems like the main criticism is that PragerU is not sufficiently anti-American. It seems like what they're getting at. That's the problem, is you're trying not to destroy all of our heroes and our founding documents and the people who made this country possible. Could you take that on?
Well, I'll tell you how you can know that. Overwhelmingly, when they attack us, they cite PragerU puts out what they call pro-American videos. That bothers them. That is correct. 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, it would have bothered no American.
Right.
It doesn't mean you lie. But yes, the greatest experiment in liberty in human history should be noted as such.
So why talk to NBC? Why submit yourself to this?
So it's a very excellent question. My view, I don't know the answer. I didn't arrange it. I don't day-to-day run PragerU, and if it were up to me, I don't know what I would have done. It's a really good question. I know whatever we do, they will distort us. On the other hand, you hope that some degree, even an inkling of the real quality of PragerU will get through. And I'm not sure it did, to be honest. It's hard for me to judge because I'm in the inside. But you have asked a very good question.
I mean, one answer, I don't know how I would have responded if I was in the same situation as you guys. But clearly, it does show that you're over the target. If they're going to dedicate 33 minutes, not even 30, 33 minutes to attack you,
That's
it definitely
right.
shows. And these are the bad guys,
Yes,
NBC News.
yes.
So it's...
Yeah, but that doesn't answer, as you point out, that doesn't answer whether we should go on.
Yeah.
It answers whether we're over the target.
Yes.
Oh, I know we're over the target.
That's right.
Since Tennessee, but Oklahoma, New Hampshire, Florida, Texas, have considered allowing teachers to use PragerU videos, every major media outlet in the United States, NPR, New York Times, and Washington Post, have just attacked us. And it's so interesting, in light of what you said, they fear our videos are 5 minutes.
Yes.
They fear that one 5-minute PragerU video will undo all the leftism of 8 years of elementary school and 4 years of high school. By the way, they fear that if someone like you or me, Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, Dave Rubin, Heather McDonald, and I'm missing great ones, Douglas Murray, there's so many. They also fear that if we show up for 90 minutes on a college campus, we will undo 4 years of their left-wing indoctrination. They're right. By the way, it's a legitimate fear. It is like the fear of a ship. One hole can sink a battleship because it will ultimately enter, and if they're not compartmentalized sufficiently, the compartments, the ship will sink. Their fear that 90 minutes of one conservative speaker will undo all of college leftism, and that 5 minutes of a PragerU video will undo 4 years in high school, and 8 years in elementary school, it is a legitimate fear.
And one of the other criticisms they leveled is that you only provide one perspective in the videos, which I don't accept that at all. But it's so ironic coming from NBC News, which of course offers only one perspective. And the American university system, I'm haunted. I was already conservative at the time, but my Economics 1 course, where the whole course was a simple Keynesian model. Like, there was no Adam Smith, there was no Thomas Sowell, there was no Milton Friedman. It was just Keynesian economics, that's it, taken as gospel. It was just one perspective, literally.
There is nothing other than a Keynesian model.
Right, it's the only model. Right, yeah, there's nothing else.
This is, for those who know this name, I don't know if 1% of American liberals heard of Tom Sowell.
Right.
The man is one of the giants of 21st century thought, and they don't even know who he is. We know all their giants, but they don't know one of ours. And the fact that he's black makes him even more undesirable to be known.
Yes, and you, on your recommendation, I consistently still read the New York Times, and this is one of the things that I know you do to keep sharp. We do this on the right. We're completely steeped in their language,
we know what they know,
their information.
They don't know what we know.
Right.
We read what they read, they don't read what we read.
So what is the real objective? We see the hypocrisy. They were complaining that we're the book banners. I know a prominent left-wing activist has tried to get my books banned from school. PragerU is constantly they're trying to keep you guys out of school. Of course, it's projection. But it feels like the essence, the kernel of it, is they want to be able to replace the nuclear family with the government, the school system with government. They want that as an option, and you're a threat to that. And I think that that's what it all comes down to, because you represent a chink in that armor that the super state is the ultimate for American, that's the key unit in America. It's not the individual, it's not the family, it's the government. The government is what matters most.
Well, it's very hard for me to avoid theology. So I have taught the 10 Commandments from the Hebrew all of my life. And I'm always asked, so Dennis, what do you think the most important of the 10 Commandments is? At different times, I've had different answers. I do answer the question. Currently, I believe it is honor your father and mother.
Wow.
For exactly that reason. That is the insurance against totalitarianism. The first thing Hitler and Stalin did was tell children, your loyalty is not to your parents, but to the state and the party.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. Dennis Prager, you seem a little happier this year. Last year you were angry a little bit at AmericaFest.
That's funny.
Am I the first one to point this out?
Probably. No.
I'm the most observant of you, other than Charlie. Charlie might even have me beat, but it's other than Charlie. I think I know what you're up to more than anyone.
Because you and Breitbart, incredible. I would give you a eulogy before you die.
Oh my.
That is how highly I think of you.
Wow.
That's an offer you've never received.
I probably won't get it again, but can I take you up on it somehow?
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds really good.
We're all here to eulogize Alex.
I'm going to do a
fake
funeral. He is still living,
and Dennis nevertheless. Okay, so that's interesting that you perceived the last time more angry.
I'm happier too. This is why I'm excited to talk about it.
Well, so look, you know I've written a book on happiness. I do a happiness hour every year since 1999.
Gifted it to Mrs. Dr. Marlow when we were dating.
Say it again?
I gave it to my wife while we were dating.
Is that right?
Signed copy. Got it signed by you. Dennis. It wouldn't make sense if I signed it, because I didn't write it.
Well, it would actually. You have no idea the number of times at speeches people give me a Bible to sign. Not my Bible commentary, a Bible. So I look at them, I go, you sure you want me to autograph this? They go, please, please. So I always write, on behalf of the author, Dennis Prager. Wow. I want to make it clear, I don't think I'm the writer of the Bible.
Right.
I don't know. There's no reason I should be happier this year, given the horrors of October 7th.
Sure.
And what we're perceiving. I mean, that people, if you can't tell the difference between Hamas and Israel, then you couldn't tell the difference between the Nazis and Churchill. There is no difference. There is zero difference. And my belief is that if I get unhappy, I won't fight. If I get unhappy, they win. So you may be perceiving that.
Can we expand on that a little bit? Because I'm personally, as a Zionist, very pro-Israel, listened to Dennis Prager for 15, 20 years. I'm a little concerned that people are not getting the distinction sufficiently.
You should be concerned. But that's only because they went to college. They were taught not to think morally. They think rich, poor, white, non-white, Western, non-Western, colonialized. They don't think what is right and what is wrong. They have a different compass. Hamas is indistinguishable, and I've never in my life compared anyone to the Nazis. Yeah. The biggest difference, interestingly, is, and was not the first to point this out, is that the Nazis tried to hide what they did. Hamas videos what they do. So in that sense, if you can be lower than the Nazi, it's a very difficult question.
Yes.
But if you can, they are.
Dennis, what do you think is the energy level here at AmericaFest heading into 2024? It feels high to me. It feels like people have some hope.
So here's the issue. America is the greatest exporter of toxic ideas in the world. It's unbelievable and sad because of the vibrance of the left in America. But the end of the sentence is not what I said. There's an end. It is also by far the greatest producer of anti-toxic left ideas. This is the most vibrant conservative movement on the face of the earth. There is no close second. So there are great I mean, you can't get greater than Douglas Murray, who's British. But as a movement, it is all here in the United States. This is not just an American Civil War. This is the Civil War of Western civilization, indeed of humanity. It is taking place in America today.
Amen. Last question, your Bible commentaries. Can you update us on where you are on these?
Thank you for asking. If I could have one personal wish, it's that everybody read my Bible commentary. It changes people's lives, and they, if they're an atheist, they start to say, "Oh, wow, there really is brilliance here," in the first 5 books in particular. So Genesis, Exodus, and Deuteronomy are out, and they're beautifully printed, by the way. That was important to me. I actually had veto rights over how it looked.
Nice.
Yes, and even the paper quality. It's in my contract.
I've got a friend who's an author. He insists on controlling even the typeset, like exactly.
Yes. No. I had to approve everything.
Yes.
So
I'm way
next
too lazy
year,
to do any of that.
Oh no, that's the one. I'm big on that. It's got to be beautiful. Yeah. Anyway, Numbers, which is the most boring title of a book ever written. In Hebrew, it's exciting. You know what the name of the book? Numbers?
I should know because you've said
In the Wilderness.
Yeah, it's much better.
Now, I'm curious, if I said, Dennis Prager wrote a commentary on Numbers, and he wrote a commentary in the Wilderness, which would you buy? But anyway,
you might
the
get
book is
mathlete
fantastic.
Crowd. The mathlete crowd might accidentally pick up the Numbers.
Which crowd?
Mathletes.
Oh yeah, sure, right. They're really curious to know my commentary on exponential numbers. But anyway, so there's one left, Leviticus, which is what is on the Liberty Bell. The founders of America knew the Torah so well, they cited Leviticus as the one verse on the Liberty Bell. Almost no Jew in America knows this, almost no Christian in America knows this.
Dennis, you're a friend and an inspiration, I think, to everyone here.
So are you.
So great to see you.